love goat cheese. It's one of my absolute favorites and not the worst thing in the world for you. When it comes to cheeses, the softer the better. So things like cottage cheese are going to be really, really good for you. Things like really hard cheeses, dense cheeses like the Pecorino Romanos and the Parmesans are going to be less good for you, more saturated fat. The cool thing about it, though, is you can use more goat cheese and get more flavor out of it because you need to use a little bit more. Things like cottage cheese don't have a lot of flavor. But the Pecorinos and those other cheeses have a massive, massive explosive amount of flavor, so you can use a lot less of it. We're going to use goat cheese in abundance with this recipe. I'm actually going to make a spread out of it, so I'm going to put this into a bowl. We're going to add some chives, which I just think onion and goat cheese go very well together. Fresh chives, fresh green onion or scallion would be lovely in this dish, but I'm using dried. I'm using dried because I want you to see that if you don't have fresh, it's not the end of the world. You don't have to have fresh around. Sometimes it's hard to keep fresh herbs around. I use a massive amount in my kitchen, obviously, so I have the hydroponic garden going all the time. I have herbs going continuously through the summer. I've dried a bunch. Now that we're in the fall season, I have a bunch that are dried out, and I'm not afraid to grab them and use them. These are from last summer that I grew, and they're just beautiful. I also have some shiitake mushrooms, or excuse me, porcini mushrooms. I like the flavor of these really strong mushrooms with the goat cheese. I just think it's a very, very nice combination. What I'm going to do is chop up these real quick. I've got a pan with a little bit of macadamia nut oil. This is breakfast, by the way. I don't even know if I mentioned that yet. We're going for breakfast here. I don't like the same old flavors. A ham and cheese omelet, as long as you're using low-fat cheese, egg whites, and a very lean ham with not a lot of fat on it is absolutely fine. But even something delicious like that, an old standard or a Western omelet, it gets boring after a while. I want to taste different things. I want to have exciting flavors on my breakfast table. So we're going to put a lot of peppers in here. I'm going to presume that you don't have omelets shells already done, which I'm a big proponent of. I like to cook off a lot of omelet shells in advance, have them in the freezer, have them in the refrigerator for the week, and make up my breakfast that way. That way it's done and good to go. This is going inside of a wrap. So we don't even need to make an omelet out of this, and I love to do that. I love to make omelets because I just think it's a nice way to go. I think it's a really easy way for me to go. I'm really good at flipping them. It's not a problem, so I'm going to make them that way. They lay nice in the shell. But you don't have to, and I'm going to show you exactly how we do that right now. We just have to cook these vegetables up. Won't take more than a second, and we'll be ready to press on. Okay, while my vegetables are cooking, the mushrooms and the porcini smell so nice. I love them. You can use dried for those, by the way. You don't have to have fresh. Dried are very easy to come by, and it's nice to have them on hand. That way you can incorporate them into things. I'm just making a spreadable mixture with this. I've got a little bit of chive. I added some black pepper into here. You don't need salt for this. These vegetables are done. I don't need to cook them all the way. And instead of doing an omelet, I'm just going to use some of my egg white or egg substitute, which is nothing more than egg whites, and I'm going to add it directly into the pan. I've got mac oil in the pan, so it's high heat stable. It works best for things like this. Olive oil is phenomenal. It's one of my absolute favorites, especially Greek olive oil. But for this type of cooking, mac oil is superior for its heat stability in this particular job we're doing. Now I've got this nice mixture. I'm just going to spread this all over the bottom of this wrap shell. Now, we could certainly put this inside of this, make it into an omelet or something like that. That would be absolutely fine. We could make this as a strata, of course. You can turn just about anything into a strata or an egg bake. I just feel like having it as a wrap, and instead of doing mayonnaise or something else like that, I just think the goat cheese is a great way to go and to use for something like this. These eggs are scrambled and done. Don't have to cook them to death, especially if you're going to be saving this for later and heating it back up in the microwave. You know, you don't want to overcook the eggs too much. You want to cook them all the way, though. There we go, and that is that. We're just going to put some of that nice mixture right inside of our wrap shell. This, of course, is 100% whole grain wrap shell, and we're just going to give her a roll. And that's it, guys. I mean, it is that easy. We've got a nice little wrap. It's a portable package, easy to eat. We didn't have to flip an omelet. We didn't have to do anything special. We put some really powerful flavors that normally we would reserve for dinner time into a breakfast wrap. Mix it up, have some fun with this. Breakfast doesn't have to be boring.